So what were you guys' initiative rolls? I did not hear. 11 for you. 11 for 12, 14. And what was yours, Tohan? 23. Murder Lizard going to murder today. Got it. Alright, so. Correct, yep. Let's see if we can move these trees back up out of the way here. Alright, and I will say the wolves are going to move on your command as well. So, as a extra, as a free action, we'll say, for your turn too, you can kind of, I know we already did a free action turn, but what would you like the wolves to do? Alright, right behind you, gotcha. Alright, so we will say, charging from where you are, we'll put you right at the edge of the map. Get a quick measurement on stuff here. Right now, from the camp itself, this guy is 75 feet away from you. Alright. You can be right up into melee range with him. Do you say any awesome fucking murder lizard shit at him when you're running at him? Yeah, he just lets out a rage growl at you as well. He's just rah as soon as he sees you. Yeah, you gave him to somebody last time. You gave him to either Maggie or... Dex, you said, right? Okay. He is rolling at +1 for a 13 total. Alright, let's see what HP. Alright, so yeah, you come bum rushing up to him, blast him, you said with your flame breath. Yep. And go ahead and roll me 3 straight D20 rolls. And then add your... We'll say add your charisma modifier. Because I assume that would be how it would work. To see how well that these guys kind of go into it, you know? See how much each of the wolves likes you. 5. So the first 2 hit. And let's see, Wolf Bite is probably a D8, I'm guessing, for these guys. So we'll call it 2d8 +1 damage, because they're snappy tooth wolves, they're pissed off at these guys. Alright. So the 2 of them come charging in, snap down on this guy. Basic math. There we go. Alright, and at the sound of your scuffle here, you see that another larger guy kind of has started to exit his tent as you're charging this guy. He seems to be dressed a little bit more like some sort of a leader type guy, you know, like the blinky light going on over his head, 2 stars instead of 1, that sort of thing. And you also see several more of this guy here. Of these kind of normal-sized berserker types. 1 coming out of each of the hovels. All of them are either carrying what looks to be some sort of limb. 1, 2, 3. here. Some sort of like what is probably the limbs or appendages or covered in some sort of viscera from the Eladrin that were apparently here before these folks showed up. Um, so as they exit their tents, they kind of all come out like this, and the guy, see, nope, it would be Maggie next. It's gonna be Maggie and then the guy that you just swung at, Tohan. Okay, so let's see. Oop. Okay. I will post the link to it right in the Facebook thing. Dink donk. So yeah, as you can, of course, this is a basic stat block. Like some of them might be reskinned. Like one might be swinging like a club made out of like a human arm or Eladrin arm in this case. One might be, but they all have the same base stats. These guys are not particularly scary as individuals, but um, nothing that shows up on the eye patch. It seems to be just he just seems to be bigger and stronger than the rest of them. Okay. Yeah, that puts you within probably 30 feet or so. Just double check it real quick for you. Okay, yeah, you're well within that. Nope. You don't even need to assume. You can see it in the eye patch. It's like the word hit pops up when you. It's like cha-ching. Looks like Batman letters. Like the Batman, like Batman onomatopoeia. Yeah. And target trajectory 100% successful. Okay. The guy was not expecting that. That came out of the blue at him. He's like murder lizard ducks and a frying pan hit him in the face, basically, is what just happened. Which is pretty cool. Oh, that's definitely a hit. Oof. Okay, he went from being not bloodied to being. You said 18 damage, right? To being very bloodied. Alright. Yeah, unfortunately, the other four guys that are out all rolled really low on initiative. Um, let's see. So it is his turn, the wounded warrior there. And of course, he is simply enraged. So he will make a reckless attack, much as Tohan's works. At the start of his turn, he can gain advantage on melee attack weapon rolls. Let's see, and he's going to swing at Tohan because that's who's there. Screaming all the while in pain. Blood's probably dripping down his face because he just got bashed in the face with a frying pan. What's he attacking with here? +3. That is a dirty 20. Alright, cool, because the other one's only a 18. Let's see, damage. How is it? D12 +3. There we go. And he rolled a 1 for damage, so plus 3 is 4 on that. Correct, yes. And I think he only gets the 1 attack. Yep, he only gets the 1 attack because he's a weenie creature. He's like, I'll kill you, thunk, and the axe just kind of stops when it hits you. Yeah, Maggie, you can actually see like temporary hit points removed from above Tohan's head. All right, that's gonna be all he's gonna do because he's not going anywhere because he's a crazy berserker rage monster. That's gonna bring us to either Arianth or Venadia. I'm assuming Venadia. I don't know who's got the higher dex between the two of you. Dexterity. Stoner moments are important. They're underrated. Alright, so, Nick, it's Venadia's turn. Yeah, you are right on the edge of the board here. Same spot that I started everybody else. 5 foot. Yep. I tried to get back to basics on this map. You could. There's nobody in like a direct line, like over, like from where you are right there. I mean, you could go this way, I guess. If you can see that. Let's see. Well, footage-wise, anyways, to right there is. Let's see. Right there is 45 feet, right? No. Nope, not 45. I can do math. 5 times 15. There we go. 75 feet. There. I'm also having a stoner moment. So 75 to right there. And we could even say you could probably cut an almost beeline through or over this hovel. Like it wouldn't be much to sort of just pop your like hurdle over it. Almost. Yeah, it's 18.5, I think, in a straight line to him. 18, really. Okay. Let's see. So that's 40, 45, 50, somewhere's in this range right here. So basically, we can get you right to the edge of this shed here. Do you want to be like right in the thick with the smaller guys, or would you rather be on like the back side to be able to go around? For the big guy? Okay, so we'll leave you there so you can kind of like if you're trying to come up one side. All right. Any bonus actions or anything, or no? Well, bonus action would be dash. Or no, I'm sorry, that's your full action, so you would still have a bonus action, not a full action. Okay. When you guys, the last one you used it on was the Hag, or before that? Oh, on the Eder caps. That's right. It's probably expired by now then, because you guys walked for quite a while after that too. Yeah, we'll say you're probably 2 hours past that fight at least. All right, so he is Hunter's marked. Let's see. So that's going to be Ariant's turn next, and then a whole slew of bad guys, if any of them are alive still. Hmm. Let's see if I can. Ooh. I don't know. Let's see. Circle. 20-foot rate. Okay, I'll do my best here to make a circle around it. See what we got. 20-foot radius is roughly that. Yeah, they're all right on the perimeter of a 20-foot radius, I would say. Like it touches the base on all of them, so. Yeah, we can use it. One of the wolves is in the circle, yes. Yeah, there's one wolf right there in the circle. The wolf is pretty much dead level. You could get these. You could get the three bottom guys and know that you're not going to hit the wolf. But I think if you try to get the top guy, I don't think it'll be able to get it. Okay, so just the two little guys and the big guy. Okay, you got it. Unfortunately, yeah, this program won't let me just slide the circle around. I've got to like redraw it. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let me get back to their stat block here. Yeah, bumped everything up. Nice. Nice. Yeah, to any one stat. Yep. Um. All right, so the first small guy makes a save. 19 plus 1 is a 20. That's a save. Second small guy, 13 plus a 1 is a 14. Does not make his save. And the big guy, he gets a plus 2. He does not make his save. That was ugly. So the guy in the middle makes the save. So he, I'm assuming, is not grappled, but I think still takes some damage. Correct? Oh, okay. Yep. Difficult terrain, right? Okay, awesome. Mhm. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm assuming you could have moved as well. Uh, yeah, you're probably right about at 120 feet actually where you are. It's probably just about there. We can fudge it a little bit because who knows where you really were standing on the edge of the forest there. Let's see. This is minus 12. So yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, let me measure it out and I'll stick you right there. Let's see, 20 feet would be 10, 20, 20, 24 squares, right? Yeah, you were already well within that. You were at like 16 squares, so you were just floating above. Yeah, so all of them take damage. None of them look bloodied from that, though. They just kind of look shocked a little bit, and the area around the campfire is now difficult terrain. I will put that circle back up for that. Best that I can, anyways, here. Something like, not quite there, but close. Right there. That looks like 20. So now all that ground looks like it just had a frickin' plow go through it, basically. Alright. Again, with this sudden attack on their camp, all these berserkers are now howling mad. They're all super hyped up. Next one that moves is this one over here by Maggie. He runs down and recklessly attacks. +5 is a 21 or a 21. He'll take the 21. I assume that hits, correct? D12 plus 3. That's going to be 5 slashing damage. Just 5. Yeah. These guys aren't like, they're still just kind of ground level monsters. They're not anything particularly nasty. It seems more like they might be a worry if they were swarming you, and more of them kept coming out of the woodwork. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that would be really bad if that did happen. You guys couldn't tell, but I took a coy sip of my cup of coffee there and smirked. Yeah, you could feel the coy sipping going on. Oh yeah, I won't even make you roll. I'll say that you definitely perceived that. All right, so the second guy is this one. He's going to rush in and swing at this wolf because it's the closest thing that he sees. Let's see. That's a miss. That's a hit on any wolf any day. So wolf takes, Jesus Christ, the wolf takes like 9 damage. These guys really don't like animals, they're dicks. Alright. And let's see. Working our way down here. This guy is going to just kind of take a few steps over to Tohan and attack. Again, recklessly. All these guys are attacking recklessly. That's going to be a 23 or a 20. 23? Does that hit you? Okay. That's going to do 9 damage. Halved, I'm assuming. And then let's see. Let's get this guy. Last small guy who is down here. Let's see, that's about 15 feet, so we'll say that he can just get to Tohan through the difficult terrain. He's kind of like stomping through this like freshly turned clay, and he just barely has enough room to reach you. He's going to also swing at you. 12 plus 5 is 17, or a 11, 17 hit? Or no, does not, does it? 17 just hits? Okay. Oof. 15 damage altogether. Rolled a 12. Yeah. One of these guys has some fight in him. Good. It's about time my monsters pulled their goddamn weight. I'm sick of this shit. Monsters all dying all the time. Alright, and the big guy, he is kind of stuck here at the edge of the circle, so he's only going to be able to kind of wade into the middle. He can get about 20 feet in or so. And again, he just seems like these guys, except for a slightly buffed up version. He doesn't seem like anything special. but he is not able to get close enough to attack you, Tohan. As this is happening, Mexa and Nexa, we will say, are kind of off on the edge of the clearing, and Nexa looks up at you, Ariantha, floating above her on the broom, and she says something along the lines of, "Please, delay them long enough that me and my brother can perform our ritual. I'm sure that we can be done with it if we can just have maybe 10 minutes." Her brother nods and says, "Thank you." And they both kind of solemnly go scurrying off to the west towards towards the pool of eternal spring, and keeping along the edge here of the road. Put a little doobly doo up. You can kind of make out their shapes, but we'll say that they're like over here in the bushes somewheres. So they're like on the very edge of the foresty area. But you could fly up higher and probably see them with no problem, yeah. Alright. I think we can do that. Put you up there. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Alright, and with that, it comes back to Tohan at the top of the initiative order again. Yep. And also he had Guiding Bolt on him as well, which I think also would have given you advantage. But yeah, you actually would have advantage against any of these three guys because they all attack recklessly. That hits. Alright. Yeah, you take this guy and he just is gone. Twang, you smack him out of the way. Oh wait, I forgot I can do something even cooler with these guys. You ready? Let's see if I can get them to stand back up in there. Boom. Oh, he died. That's so great. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Alright. These guys are rolling. Two of them are rolling at a +1. One is rolling at a +2. Alright, that is not. That is also not. No, none of them make it. Alright. Okay. Definitely hits. Oh, kills him exactly. He had exactly 26 hit points. Whack. Yeah, that hits. Alright. He is now very bloodied. Maggie, as you look over, you can see that he has the number 13 with the little health bar above him. That eye patch is great. It's way easier to tell you guys what the stats are on stuff. They're going to attack directly after, rolling with your charisma as their attack modifier. And then 1d8 plus 1 damage if they hit. So, correct. The first one hits. Alright. That is the one that is closest to you. He is now very, very bloodied. You see the number drop from 13 to 5 above his head. Alright. Would be Maggie's turn next. Yep. Yep, that's hovering right over the guy that he killed. Yeah, that hits. Yeah, and as you hit him, like, all of a sudden stats start appearing over his head. They're no longer seem to be obscured. It's all the same stats, with the exception that all of the stats modifiers are 1 higher. So, like, you know, instead of getting a +3, he gets a +4 to his strength. Instead of a +1 to his dex, +2, etc. And he has twice as many hit points total as the other one. So instead of having 67, he's got like 134. Although he's already been smacked, so he's actually only got 110 right now. From Frying Pan, alright, so he drops to 103. One of they were previously all the way healed. One of them has been hit for 9 points of damage as of right now. Yeah, if I remember correctly. Look it up real quick. Yeah, I think they had 26. I think I gave them org stats. He did not take damage last time. Yep. Nice. That hits. All right. Gotcha. So just kind of try and put yourself more towards the other guys a little bit, like this side. Okay. And you can actually see them. They are now standing at the edge of the water, but they're kind of looking around, sort of horrified, looking down at the water. And that's when you can kind of see that they're looking at something on the shore. Give me a perception check to see if you see what it is or not from where you are. Because you're kind of far away, and you can't. It's hard to make out the details of what they're kind of staring at. All right. You can't like they just seem to be looking at something on the shore and kind of like looking at each other, throwing their hands up, saying something, but you can't quite hear what they're saying. But they seem to be distressed. Okay, give me a perception with advantage because you've got a little bit better viewpoint of where this stuff is. We'll see if you can see it. All right, so you can just make out that what they appear to be standing by seems to be the partial remnants of a humanoid figure that has been sort of cut in half and it's sort of out of the pool. And as your gaze goes out to the pool, you start to realize the pool is filled with these kind of half masticated bodies that are. It looks like these berserkers have just been gorging themselves on any animal or being that they find, just killing it. And it seems that this has been where they've been throwing the bodies is into this pool and just defiling it, this holy place for the elves and the Eladrin. And it's quite ghastly. It's not a pretty sight once you realize it. It's like they don't seem to be in danger. No, not anything. Like there's no imminent threats around them. They're just kind of shocked because the pool that they planned on doing a little baptism thing in is filled with dead bodies. Okay. Right. We need Chris Mahar or somebody with a really good metal scream to be like yell out baptized in blood. I can't do a metal scream. I've never been able to. It's awful. That's a total metal line right there, isn't it? That's band name something. All right. So Maggie, if that's all for you, and you guys got your little exposition here, Venadia comes back to you. All right. So this. Yeah. Does a 30 do it for you? Yeah, that definitely hits him. I was gonna say you also have advantage too, so you might want to roll for crit because you've got Hunter's markup. So you might want to just check and make sure you don't get a nat 20 on your second die roll. I'm a fair DM. Okay, that definitely hits. Also a hit. I mean, these guys are berserkers. They're wearing like scraps of fur for armor, and like maybe like a skull for a helmet that's not fit well. They're not well equipped. Nice. So that's 3 successful hits. Hunter's Mark doesn't have any special triggers on a crit, right? Okay. So we'll count it as 3 successful attacks then, right? Okay, so you're going to get at least the extra d6s for that. And you're going to double the damage on your last attack roll's dice. Then add your modifiers. It's going to be a lot. Okay. All right. Yep, double the dice roll, and then add, double the dice roll, add your damage modifiers. Okay. And then you give me your d6s, your 3d6 or whatever it is. Jesus. That's a total of 75 damage for 3 hits. Technically, also, technically, each of those attacks would have had advantage as well. I don't know if you rolled it as such or not. Okay, all right. Yeah, we did that at the end of the. Not for the die roll, right? Just for the damage. Oh, okay, all right. Well, regardless, 75. So Maggie, you watch as the number drops from 82 to 7. And this guy is immediately like, you just run up behind him and essentially like cut his Achilles heel, sever his ACL out of his leg, like hit him in the shoulder like real hard, and he's just like oh, yeah, it should have actually given you an extra damage bonus, but I don't remember what it is. Do we have it written down on your sheet for the? Oh, all right. We will say it's the same thing as a flask of oil, which let me check that real quick because I know there's stats for it. Plink. Thank you, Google. 5e flask of oil. Yeah, we'll say it's let's see. Triggering the oil, improvised weapon. If target takes any fire damage before the oil dries after 1 minute, target takes an additional 5 fire damage from the burning oil. Yep. So for each round that he is hit with a fiery sword, your fire from the oil will last for 10 rounds total, or 1 minute. So, and yeah, he takes 5 damage from that as well. So it's all the way. He has 2 hit points left now. Oh, yeah, it would. There's 2 hits then, right? All right. With his dying breath, he yells out. He calls out to his god Malaar. He says, "Malaar, avenge me!" You're pretty sure Malaar said no because he drops dead. But this guy's probably got a. Does this guy got a death thing as well? Yeah, he does. Oh, he just falls down. I love it. It's so cool. All right. Seeing their captain drop to the ground, and this one guy has all of 5 hit points left himself. Let's see. No, it's Arian's turn next. Actually, it's not their turn yet. They all clearly act very afraid now that their leader is dead, but they're still snapping and snarling at you and stuff. trying to be tough. Oops. Okay, so the one by, let's see, the one by Maggie has not taken any damage still. Is that correct? Am I keeping track of that correctly? Yeah, he hasn't been damaged yet, and the one closest to the wolf has not been damaged yet. Other than that, the guy that's here in front of Tohan has 5 hit points left, and the other 2 are very dead. I like that Jen can actually be hovering in the sky. That's a nice touch. Only if you're hit. All right. What's the what type of saving throw is it? Intelligence. No, not much from this guy for intelligence. He's got a -1. So he rolled an 18, so 17. Alright, go ahead and roll damage and let me know. 7 damage. Yeah, and it obviously hits him, but he throws his arm up and it must deflect some of the spell's magic. Bounces off from his horn helmet that he's got on. Alright, anything else? Alright. Alright, they are currently arguing with each other. Mexa seems to be motioning towards the water and sort of tugging at the girl at Nexa's sleeve. Like, he's still like, we should still do this. We need to get this ritual done. And she seems apprehensive to go into the pool full of dead bodies. But as far as you can tell, they're still in no imminent danger. Doesn't seem to be any actual threats around them. Reggie says, well, there are several bacteria associated with pools of water filled with dead bodies, so I mean, there's always a health risk involved, but I. Oh, that's a good point. It might. Let me consult my sources. I'll be back with you in a moment. And he kind of goes into his boop boop beep beep phase. You just kind of hear like modem noises. Let's see. Maggie, the one nearest you is actually going to disengage, um, as its attention is drawn when Arianth zaps it. It looks up at Arianth and then sees Arianth look over at the twins. And it looks over and sees that the twins are there, so it uses its primary action to disengage from you and move away. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I can let you do a half movement, because we'll say that it's kind of a late movement. Oh, I'm sorry. Alright, so... there. Gotcha. Yes, we can do your movement. We can put you kind of halfway in between these guys here. Yeah. You think it'll probably take... yeah. Alright, so yeah, I mean, you could probably shout out a quick warning, at which point Mexa, he will probably turn and see the guy running at him. Although we'll hold his action for a moment. We'll do these other two right here. Let's see. Guy with 5 hit points left. He's gonna swing at Tohan. He mad. How dare you kill our lord? And he misses with a 2. Frickin' loser. The other guy is going to try to bite the wolf. Hey, he rolled a 24. He bites the wolf. He only does a d4 of damage. 2 damage, Mr. Wolf. 2 damage. Wonder what that's gonna do. As the bite kind of lays into him, Tohan, you look over and you see that the wolf immediately seems affected by being bitten by this guy. It begins sort of spinning in a circle, snapping its jaws wildly, and foam begins immediately coming out of its mouth, and its eyes turn a bright, bright shade of red. And the guy that bit it goes, "Yes, you will be a child of Malaar." That's his action. It's alright, all you missed was man bites dog. Yeah, dog went full 28 days later, essentially, is a good way to put it. Doesn't seem likely. Let's see, this guy went, that guy went. Coming back over here, as this guy is approaching, Mexa and Nexa look at each other, and they place one hand palm to palm, and each of them kind of in this unified motion brings up their other arm at the guy, and as he's running, like, you know that scene with Spider-Man in Avengers Endgame where he just fades into dust? That's what this guy does, but he does it at a dead run, so he just goes foof and just dissolves into the air. And it seems like their twin powers are still quite strong with them when they actually are together. Yep. That is almost literally the theme for this entire thing for those two characters. That's exactly who I pictured. Whoops. Sorry, Jen, I just flicked your character halfway across the board, too. Yeah, I literally pictured the Wonder Twins, except for, in my mind, they were the ones from Teen Titans Go. like Jan is like the one that everybody likes, and the other guy is like kind of a loser because all he can do is form of water. So let's see. Yeah, there is nobody else to go for the monsters. Tohan, you now have 2 berserkers, one grievously wounded, and a really angry wolf that used to be friends with you. If you... Ooh, I don't know. Probably not, because he is just out of 5 feet in a line. You could probably hit the guy closest to you and this wolf if you stepped in front of him, or you could hit the wolf and the guy behind the wolf. Okay. So you step over the dead body of your fallen enemy. And just leave you standing on top of him. There we go. Yeah, go ahead and what's a DC 13? All right. That is a fail from the guy. The wolf, I gotta check his, he also has a +1. They both fail. Alright. As soon as you do damage to the wolf, it begins kind of like shaking its head and yelping, and that wolf actually takes off in the other direction, as it would activate right after your turn anyways, so he takes off running. You got it. That hits. And I'm going to assume you kill him because I'm pretty sure your bonus damage does more than 5. Okay. What was the damage on the first one? 13, right? Okay. So math. That hits. He goes from being fine to being very bloodied. Maggie, you look over and you see a blinking number 13 above his head. Oh, yep, absolutely. +1 to hit, and 1d8 +1 for damage. One hit, yep. Alright. And again, he is very, very bloodied. He's down to 7. Venadia. There is one guy across this circle. I believe this circle is still difficult terrain, so you have to count it as double. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll call it 6 squares. So he would use up your full movement to get across these 3 really to get to him. Jen's spell earlier erupted the earth around there, so it's all crazy muddy terrain now. Yep, you can absolutely get to him. Get... Nice. Yeah, and again, assuming you can land a hit, we can almost forego damage because he only has 7. Unless you want to roll for fun, that's fine. We'll see how much you kill him. That's a hit. That's a big hit. Also a hit. Oh, and also as a side note, I believe when the other guy died, you could have moved your hunter's mark over to any of these guys. Although I don't know, because it's a bonus action. Yep. So I don't know if you want to use a bonus action to do that or not, or I think that's a bonus action to do it. It's up to you. course. You got at least 2 hits in already, right? What's your damage bonus? Because I bet you just killed the guy. He had 7 hit points left, so he's... Yeah. So, like, it's a situation where, like, even when you're hitting your last blow, he's dead before he hits the ground. Like, you're still cutting him as he's on his way down. You're just chop, 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 chop. Yeah, you literally fruit ninja the guy's helmet off. Like, absolutely. Um, so yeah, with that, the sounds of battle fall silent, and the only sounds that can be heard are a low dissertation from Mexa and Nexa talking to each other in hushed tones that even Arianth, being as close as she is, can't really hear. They're like whispering to each other. Um, Reggie comes back at this very moment, and he's like, "Oh, yes. So it seems like your suspicions were correct. Any attempt to perform a sacred ritual of Maliki in a pool that's defiled in such a way may have very adverse consequences." And at this point, you can see now Mexa has become quite irritated with Nexa. With the boy has gotten very irritated with the girl, and he actually physically picks her up and begins marching into the water, and he's about knee deep before you can say anything. Um, awesome. So as you are out of combat for a moment here. Um, yeah, absolutely. So let's say Maggie, you can kind of start running over. You get maybe halfway over there. Arianth, you can actually zip right down on your broom. And these guys are just standing right about there in the water right now. And Mexa says, "No, we must complete our ritual. I must be free of this evil." All right, as Reggie begins to say this, and all like it's all kind of happening very quickly and at the same time. You guys are shouting back and forth to the twins. Mexa seems to be kind of standoffish with you and arguing. He's got his sister kind of thrown over his shoulder. She's kicking and like pounding on his back, being like, "Put me down!" And um, that's okay. Let me hear yours too, Arianth, and we will have a roll off to see whose action fires first. All right, so I'm gonna resolve those both. I'm gonna say you guys both act at the same time in that case. So, Arianth, you cast Walk on Water. Um, so it pops them up to where they are not like as Mexa is trying to take a step forward. He's actually like climbing back up out of the water, sort of. So he's like, they move maybe another 2 foot out like that, but now he's standing on top of the water. And this is as he's saying, like, "No, I must be rid of this evil." Dave, you cast Destroy Water. What's the radius on that? So like under their feet, pretty much. Okay. Um, so you do that. Yeah. As soon as Arianth casts Walk on Water, he steps up. You cast Destroy Water, and you just see him kind of tumble and he lands on his ass in this depression of water, but he's still not like. So now he's just sitting in essentially like a 10-gallon hole, like he stepped into a gopher hole in this water, but he's just kind of like tripped up and landed on the surface of it. When he does this, um, Jen, does water walking affect one target or more than one target? Should be just one, right? Up to 10 targets. Okay. So as he drops his sister, we'll say his sister kind of just lands prone. Hmm. All right. That's okay. We will say that because he was not expecting the spell effect and he assumes you are a friendly creature, that anything you were doing, he would not be an unwill. He's not like actively resisting the spell effect, so we can just kind of fudge it. But yeah, they both now are laying prone on top of this, like on top of the surface of the water essentially. And as all this happens, a giant lightning bolt, red red as a fire truck, essentially crosses the sky, and a loud thunderclap happens. Just this massive thunderclap out of nowhere. Um, and the sky is abnormally dark for the time of day that it is at this point. It looks like it's stormy weather, and as this happens, you can hear a booming voice ring out from the sky. Uh, you see streaking down towards you what appears to be a unicorn, except this unicorn is not white and shimmering and radiant. This unicorn has flares of red and black smoke pouring off from it, and its skin is coal black. And its horn, rather than be straight and spiraled and a beautiful opalescent color, is a dark gnarled sort of iron color, and it goes off all jagged in different directions, and coming off from the horn itself is sort of a swirl of smoke and just all sorts of not greatness. And let me see if I can drop a picture into things and stuff here. Do. It's not going to let me do it. We'll just do it the getaway. I'll post a picture in chat. Well, looks like that. And Maggie, as you see this black streak coming down towards you, you can see it is a unnaturally strong creature. Like its stats are kind of generating up and down on this eye patch that you're looking through. They're like changing persistently. Um, but you do know that it is going to make multiple, like it's like warning, corrupted avatar of LaRue, multi-attack capabilities. Like, so you're pretty sure that this thing's a little bit tougher than the last enemies that you just faced. He says, "Oh yes, okay." He says, "Oh yes, you remember the that book, the lore of LaRue? Well, this is LaRue. It seems she's been corrupted by the cult of Malaar. They're defiling the pool which she presides over has somehow corrupted her very essence and turned her evil." "I don't even know if cleaning the pool would do it. You see, it's the act of defiling it itself that has corrupted her. I don't know if anything short of a high priest of Saloon or Leaky could take care of something such as this. This is, well, you know something of avatars. This is, quite frankly, the avatar of a god corrupted by another god. I don't know what sort of capabilities this creature would have." Or what it would. I was just gonna say, or what it would take. All right, and as they see this thing flying down, yeah, they're like, and they come running back off the surface of the water. Let me grab a character. I don't know what the range is on it because I'm thinking that probably if you're casting it at like the twins, then the rest of maybe Maggie, but I think the rest of them would probably be out of range. Yeah, absolutely. Do that. All right, so yeah, they absolutely run over back off from the top of the water, and yeah, see, Maggie would have been in range just barely, but the others would not have probably. All right. Cleric and a wizard, man. That's spot on. Oh, sorry. Yes, you're right, sorceress. All right. So at this point, this this creature comes galloping out of the sky, and it slams across the ground and kind of comes to a turning halt near Maggie. And it turns its head slowly, and in your head, Maggie, you can hear its voice ring out, um, and it says, "By what chance do you come to the forests that Malaar has claimed?" Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Hmm. Yes, and what business do those twins have in Malaar's pool? I suppose you think that they were. I suppose they thought they were supposed to be doing something in the pool of eternal spring, no? Ha 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 ha. This creature sort of shakes its head for a moment and stomps its foot, and you notice that the eyes of the creature that are a bright red with these smoky tendrils coming out of them, they fade back to a pale white for a moment as it's shaking its head, almost as though there was something else there trying to fight its way out. And it snorts and kind of its eyes turn red again, and it turns and regards the twins for a moment, and he says, "Followers of Maliki, eh? You've made a grave mistake coming here. I will give you one opportunity to leave." Mexa is kind of hanging out, hiding around this bush, and he's like poking his head out and like looking at this thing, and Nexa is like hiding behind him. Mexa, Mexa shouts out, "No, we must complete the ritual!" Mexa kind of looks at you for a moment and he sort of like huffs, like in typical teenager fashion, like, ugh, rolls his eyes. Nexa, the girl, is kind of looking at him. All right, roll me intimidation, but instead of, actually, I guess would that be charisma? I'm gonna look at my sheet here. I believe it is. Yes. Okay, give me a charisma intimidation check. All right, yeah. He kind of looks like he's about to say something else, looks at the creature, and sort of like dejectedly looks down with Nexa behind him, sort of ushering him back towards Arianth. And the creature looks and he says, "Return not to this area." Yeah, and your wolves have picked up on this, the two remaining wolves. They are now kind of hackles up, like, behind this thing, growling. This thing is facing the opposite direction at this point. The creature looks at you and says, "Once I was a servant of Maliki. Then Malaar's men came, began to defile the forest, bent my will. Now it is that of Malaar." And again, it does this head shake thing, and its eyes turn white for a moment. Yeah, absolutely. He says, "Yes, it seems that there's some sort of an internal struggle going on there. It's, perhaps there would be some way to draw out the true form of LaRue." Alright, when you say this, the eyes kind of fade all the way to white for a moment and it stops snorting. And you just kind of see it shake off some of this red smoke for a minute and it looks at you. And it does like the Woodstock Indian, Native American, where it gets a single tear rolls down its horse cheek. Nice. Yeah. So as these plant, like you when you activate the rod, you kind of direct Reggie to do so of activate this ability, and the plants begin to kind of shimmer and shake and grow. Not like they're not like growing out of control, but like there's noticeable movement from them kind of growing and moving, and this seems to kind of take this creature aback a little bit more, and it speaks in a softer tone now, and it's much more what you would expect from an avatar of a forest deity. And it says, "Oh, what have I done? Oh no. They've poisoned the pool. We must we must purify the pool. Please. I can I can hold this. I can hold this evil at bay for a moment, but we must find a way to purify the pool, remove the bodies, and bless the pool with Saloon's light once again. And again, in the book, it had mentioned that Saloon and Maliki were kind of intertwined. Like, Maliki was sort of like the protector of the forest, but Saloon was sort of a nature god in general, like an overseer. To actually go in and clear them out, there are probably like 30 or 40 bodies, so you're looking at, I don't know, I mean, with all of you working at it, maybe 15 minutes to get them out of the pool. However, it will still be considered corrupted unless it is essentially purified somehow. Malaar, yep. I can only hold back this evil for a few moments. I may be able to hold him back long enough for you to get the bodies out of the pool, but I don't I don't know about much longer than that. Yeah, I mean, I would assume that the shackles seem to kind of change however they need to. Don't forget, you guys do have a party line open with Reggie too, assuming like you can kind of all Professor X back and forth. She's this thing sort of looks confused for a moment. Um, sh- it's like doesn't really understand the question that you're asking it, I guess. Yeah, I want to say they make it so that they can't cast spells, do anything with their hands, basically. Yeah. And keep in mind, this is also a winged creature as well. Roll me persuasion. All right. Yeah, this thing it agrees to allow you to put the shackles on it and bind it with vines. Um, okay. All right. So as you guys do this, yeah, I mean, you literally almost are like you're like tying it down like the fucking T Rex in Jurassic Park 2. You know, like it's this thing's bound, and yep, yeah, and almost the instant that the vines take hold, the creature kind of starts doing its thing again of shaking its head and snorting, and the red begins to return to its eyes, and smoke begins pouring from it now, like it's absolutely enraged, and it's like, "What trickery is this?" And it's back to its spooky, scary voice. Begins, yeah, and it's thrashing around now. It's just like tails flying, wings are trying desperately to push against these vines, and you can actually see like where the vines have grown up out of the dirt is like it's pulling dirt up, but the vines are holding so far. Um, all right, so is that what you guys are doing? All right. Um, so in just a few seconds, the answer comes back. Help is on the way. Uh, and you don't really get much else other than that. I don't think it's just help is on the way. All right. Um, yeah, he's just yeah he wouldn't he's like can't even get in the water. Um, um, let's see. Uh, I would say no repercussions on it. But you are risking this creature breaking out of it at some point if you're not. All right. As you guys are having this discussion, and Tohan, I'm assuming you're like wading into the water now, and you're doing like using the axe like a log hook, like just chopping into the bodies and dragging them out and chucking them on the shore. Well, at least like hooking under the belt. I mean, these are like partial bodies basically that have been floating in this thing for who knows how long now. So they're all. It's probably somewhere in the realm of 30 or 40 bodies. Like there seems to be. It seems like anything, and it's not just people. It's like there's like a half a person here, and like maybe like a part of a deer, like a bear. Like there's like anything that these guys would have come across in the forest, they essentially were attacking and eating, it seems like. And they would eat their fill and then throw the remains in the pool as like a tribute to their fucked up god. At this point, Tohan, when you're standing kind of close at one point to the creature, it looks at you with squinted eyes and it snarls, "Ah, brother, why do you help these creatures? You and I used to fight together." He says, "No, you are not an only child, but you are a child of Bane, are you not?" He looks. This creature just kind of looks a little bit confused for a second, and then it starts to laugh. This like billowing laugh, like "Ha ha 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 ha! You always were the funniest of the three of us. Perhaps you don't recognize me by the name." You're just laughing with it. Ha 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 ha! He says, "Perhaps you don't recognize the name Malaar, but perhaps you would recognize my older name, Ball." Yeah, these balls. No, sorry. So yeah, so this gives you the indication that this thing, although they are worshipping the cult of Malaar, as you've seen with other gods, there seems to be some sort of like an umbrella corporation thing going on with the gods in this world, where like, you know, like Kalimvor is the god of the dead, but so is Malikani, and then you've got like the god of murder, who would be Baal. However, you've got Malaar, who is what's considered the god of the primal hunt. And really, a primal hunt and murder are only like a step away from each other, so they sort of fall under the same umbrella. So essentially, this thing is telling you that it is an avatar of Baal at the moment. And as you guys will remember, Valk is currently the avatar for one of the other Dark Three. So you know from past experiences that the Dark Three, Baal, Bane, and what did I say before Malikani? No, Merkul. I have too many M names in this game. Um, the Yeah, they were the original Dark Three that challenged the old gods and essentially killed the old gods. Um, and they seem to be sort of integrally entwined somehow with all this bullshit with Malikani and his Lich army and the other Lich armies that are rising across the nations. Oh man, I wish Bob was here. Like, I feel like he would be having a lot of fun, like, doing avatar to avatar stuff. Um, yeah, that makes sense too because he lost the intelligence points and stuff. So he's like, yeah, whatever. Like just doesn't. Yeah, sure. Avatar. What's that? Is that like the Airbender cartoon? I don't. Yeah, I'm not even blue. What the fuck? That's the best fart joke ever. Um, I keep leaving this thing up here. Go to that so we can see the field again here. Um, so yeah, we'll say you guys right around the time that you guys are pulling the last of the body parts out of this pool, and you're all covered now in this god awful fucking sludgy like shit. Anybody that didn't have water walking, so like Maggie, you're okay. Arianth, you're probably okay if you're like going back and forth with your broom and helping move stuff. But yeah, I mean, we'll say that it is in general a you're able to kind of all work together. So were all of you in and out of the water? Well, I guess it would just be Tohan and Venadia. Were you in and out of the water as well? Yeah, like were you going in and helping drag bodies as well? Okay. Sorry, I'm looking for something in the book. There it is. Okay. I need the two of you to roll me a DC 15 Charisma saving throw, please. Yeah, we could say, well, Bless is, no, Bless would be gone by now because you guys have been doing this for like 20 minutes, half an hour. And I think Bless only lasts for, what, a minute? 30, 20, okay. Yes, please. Okay, so you guys both pass your saving throws. For just a brief moment, you feel the onset of some sort of a, almost like if you were driven mad for just a brief few seconds. It's like the worst salvia trip ever. Um, and then it just kind of goes away. And you're like, whoa, what the fuck was that? But you get the nagging suspicion that that could have gone very differently. Let's see. You gotta stay the fuck out of that water, man. Yeah, in the meta, what that means is that if you guys had failed your saving throws, you would have had to roll for madness, short-term madness effects, which are fun. Nice. So as you guys are pulling the last of these bodies out, and you guys are kind of having your weird little like fucking DMT trip, uh, man, I referenced way too many drugs in this podcast thing. No, I don't know what any of that stuff is from being in my 20s. Or 30s. So, the high priest of Arianth's village shows up from Grimwood, and he is accompanied by the two druids from Nalad Zur. And they kind of examine the situation for a minute, and they're kind of horrified that the camp of Eladrin has been wiped out. They're actually shocked, and they look around at the berserkers that are laying on the ground dead, and they look around and they kind of are looking at the wolves like, what the fuck are there? Why are there wolves here? That's weird. Um, and just keeping their distance from this creature who is going back and forth between moments of clarity and alacrity and kind of being soft spoken and trying to like help in any way it can and like tell you things if it can, to just laughing and being generally gleefully murderous in its intentions, talking about how it's going to tear you all limb from limb. Um, and the high priest begins a prayer to Saloon that it involves him chanting something like blood into water, bones into earth, blood into water, bones into earth, and slowly, yeah, and he begins to kind of raise his hands up, and you can see the red kind of stain that's in this pool begins to sort of clear itself, and the water begins to glow again, just ever so subtly. It takes on a kind of shimmery effect all across and becomes very crystal clear from what was kind of a murky, muddy mess a minute ago. And it takes a few moments. Let me see. Unfortunately, while that's going on, the vines around the creature hold. Um, and as the water begins to clear, you can see almost a one-to-one effect on this creature where its eyes begin to go back to white. Its skin begins to fade from this black, and it changes almost like to a charcoal gray at first, and then to a lighter color gray, and then finally to a pure white with a long white mane. Its horn begins to kind of straighten out and go into this perfect like narwhal like horn spiral thing. Um, and you can see Mexa and Nexa now are kind of looking to you for what to do next. And Mexa's sort of like, is it safe to do our ritual now? He sort of looks at you, Arianth, first. Reggie says, well, the pool doesn't detect as evil at all. It seems to be purified. It's clean water. They say, yes, barring the return of these strange men. What have you found out about these men? Are they some sort of a cult? Stops and looks at you. And if a horse can smile, or if a unicorn can smile, this one does. And it says, yes, thank you. And without you actually releasing the vines, Jen, it releases itself from the vines magically, where the vines sort of just let it go. Um, and it says, I shall be sure to thank your friend the tree for its assistance. Is there anything that I can do to repay you for restoring Maliki's forest to its rightful order? Just all of you at this point. She's sort of addressing everyone in the room, for lack of a better term. Very well, assist them I shall, she says. And in a fucking epic Final Fantasy moment, this thing takes off like a rocket straight up into the sky, and it does like crazy wings in front of like the rising moon. Like it's still daytime, but like you know that daytime where like the moon's out too. It does like the perfect silhouette, wings outstretched in front of this, and then you see like it just goes foop into a pin of light, and falling down from where it was is a single large, just perfect terminated diamond that is probably worth 10,000 gold pieces. It's this huge diamond, like a fist-sized diamond. And you can hear LaRue's voice still. And she says, if they are ever in trouble, this gem will keep them safe. Because you know magic shit is never like here's how this works. Here's the instruction manual. They just leave you hanging like yeah, fucking it'll work. It's magic. Um, and yeah, it probably before she even went up in front of the moon, she did like some crazy fucking aeronautical maneuvers too, like some like Blue Angel shit, like buzzing the treetops and stuff, being all happy. Um, so one, at this point, I would say you guys all go up a level because you haven't gotten one in a while, and this was supposed to be the end of the next kind of chapter here. Absolutely. Yeah. So you discover a one that the largest one had wearing around his neck. He had sort of like this thick chain, just a steel chain, but on the bottom of it is this huge steel, like kind of insignia, and you believe it to actually be the sigil of the god Malaar. Like that's Maggie's best guess. We'll say is that it's probably the sigil of Malaar. But you notice that the sigil of Malaar is deviously similar to the sigil of Baal. Um, so again, giving you another clue that the dark ones are still involved here as well. Um, and we will say treasure wise, what do they have on them? In some of the camps, there are actual Eladrin possessions. Let's find out what. Where's my Dungeon Master Guide? what sort of treasures the Eladrin have. Treasure table. S-T. What page? T. Treasure. Ah, treasures. So you find a chest that has around 500 or so gold worth of various assorted coins, we will say. And it's just mixed. It's just a giant fucking trash mix chest of coins that probably the Eladrin had collected from various bandits and things in the forest or whatever was coming into the forest. You also find, if I can find the goddamn table for it. Ah, here we go. 114. Alright. What sort of weapon do you find? You find a long sword. It's, for game purposes, a long sword +1. That has really nice kind of elven, like, decorative work all along the handle. You're fairly certain that this is a magical weapon of some sort, but just more so in, like, it is magically honed. So just your typical +1 longsword. But you don't actually see, there's not really anything on these guys. Like, they don't really have pockets per se. Like, most of them are wearing, like, loincloths and shit. And like I said, they're not even wearing boots. They're, like, just kind of wrapped their feet in whatever leather scraps they can find and all pillaged equipment and stuff. They don't have anything particularly nice. Most of them were swinging at you with, like, arm bones and stuff. The largest of them, though, when he fell, he was wielding an axe. The axe, just saw it. Where did it go? I don't want to give you that one because I already have that one in Bill's game. That's boring. Damn it. Come on, magic tables, give me better rolls. Yeah, it was. I literally rolled the berserker axe. I'm like, God damn it. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Yeah, yeah, and you're the upfront tank guy too, so that's not. We already know how that goes from Bill's game. It's not great. I'm shocked I haven't killed all you guys in that game yet. I think only my shitty roll, my shitty non-min-maxed character is what saves you. So this axe. Let's see. Yeah, you pick up the axe and you. We'll say you don't know exactly what it does yet, but I know what it does now. Yeah, so you get an axe, you get a really fancy sword, like 500 gold out of the deal. And okay. So yeah, it's a long sword +1. So it's +1 to hit and +1 on your damage. Yeah, I think longsword is a versatile weapon, so it can be used. Yep. Now you just have to have your awesome armor or parents put the two hilts together, and then you can go full Darth Maul. So yeah, so assuming that you guys give the diamond that fell to the ground to the twins, correct? Okay. Um, and the twins are overjoyed. They are incredibly thankful. And yet, apparently, the LaRue, the uncorrupted LaRue, has been able to talk to them a little bit separately from you because Nexa, as you hand her the crystal, she sort of looks into it and says, "Yes, I understand," as though she's talking to the crystal. And she tucks it away into a pouch somewheres in her cloak. And they begin, along with the high priest, to perform a sort of baptism. They walk out into the water, and they have a full-blown "Oh brother, where art thou" moment. There's like, they sing a song, and like the wind's all going through the tree. You know, like it's like something straight out of the gospel. It's a pretty like religious experience overall. Um, and the two druids that accompanied, they go out into the water as well with them, and they do the whole dipping them in, and as they bring them back out. When Nexa and Mexa go out, they actually clasp hands again, like do the palm to palm thing, and then they go and are dipped into the water. And as they come out, they are now surrounded by a radiant white light, and they walk out of the water, um, as though, assuming that you drop the water walking spell for them to get baptized, they come walking out of the water as though that spell were still in effect. They essentially just emerge and begin walking across the surface of the water in this like crazy Jesus moment, but it's like twin Jesus. You can hear like this, the old like choir of angels type of music in the background. Like there's a complete solfeggio. It's almost spooky. Um, and then you hear "No" from above, just all encompassing. Like it's like someone was using prestidigitation times 10, like an order of magnitude larger. Um, and this time a black lightning bolt streaks down from the sky, and standing before all of you, I'm going to assume that you're all moved over here by the get rid of our little horsey guy here. We'll assume that you guys moved over there. I don't know why you brought the tent with you. The tent back. And standing before you is Malikani himself. Boom! You've only seen him a couple of times, but you recognize him instantly. He has got every stereotypical sign of a lich. And he says, "You will not defeat me so easily. I will have this world as my own. I will be the god of the dead." And he expels his hand out in a wide arc. And as he does, the twins immediately put their palms together again, and both their opposite hands go out. And before Malikani's sort of, we'll call it force blast, hits you guys, a wall of clear energy shoots up in front of you, just a massive shield spell, and deflects this attack from him. And Mexa says something in like this kind of crazy, what is the word I'm looking for? Like almost in like a voice of God sort of thing, where he's echoing, and he says, "You are too late, Dark One. We have already performed our baptism, and your evil is washed away from me. We will not be your puppets again. And then this crazy fucking wizard like fight ensues between the twins and Malikani. It immediately begins. And before you guys can even act, there's a blinding flash as their powers are just smashing into each other and building up, and everything goes white. It just completely fades to white for a moment. And when you all kind of come to, you're laying on a beach, on a small island, like small enough that you can kind of look from one side to the other of it. You can see that you're on an island. There's very few trees. There are not really any noticeable like animals or anything around you. And you don't see any other islands within sight. You seem to be... And it's the four of you and Valk. And Gilfoyle is probably falling out of Tohan's backpack at about this time. But that's it. The twins are not there. Malikani is not there. None of the other people that were around you are there. Oh, oh dear. It's not so much a question of where, although, yes, we seem to be in the Moon Sea somewheres. It seems to be a question of when. If my calculations are correct, we're somewheres around 897 DR, almost 1,000 years prior to just where we were a few moments ago. That can't be right. And he goes into his modem noises again, like boop boop beep 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 boop boop. He is furiously researching something, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. And comes back a few moments later. Yes, boy, the Wikipedia is extremely primitive right now. It's almost like they've barely come up with any sort of internewt at all. Things are going to be tough. It's going to be hard for me to give you as much information as I normally can. Oh, I'm not experienced in this at all. Time travel is not my forte. I don't know anything about it. I know it's possible, but I also know it's not a very good idea, generally speaking, magically, as the things we do when we travel through time can affect the rest of time in general. Yes, it seems that they've opened something of a temporal wormhole. There's still residual traces of it around the area. They've somehow sent you back in time. There may be a way. You know the mithrils I've referred you to before? Well, it seems that they may be used for time travel purposes on occasion as well. Although again, it's generally frowned upon by many of the wizards who are in charge of these mithrils. They find it far too dangerous. But I'm sure if you could find a community with one of these mithrils, you would be able to perhaps convince them to help you and send you back to your time. That's far beyond my capabilities, I'm afraid. No, unfortunately. But perhaps it could still be of some use. Mother Maggie, perhaps you should try contacting that tree again. He may be able to help us. He's well over 1,000 years old. Alright, you get the response back. Who is this? Reggie says, oh, right, you wouldn't have met him yet. Okay. Yeah, on the upside, there's nothing dangerous on this island, so you got that going on. Told you guys I'd get you into a fucking nautical adventure eventually. Okay. Um, I was gonna say, do you want to try to do the 25 words, or would you rather? I can. You can also do maybe like a charisma check, and see if like how the tree responds. Because I mean, it's not an asshole tree. It just doesn't know who the hell you. It's like who the hell's contacting me? It's probably not the first time that's happened to it, but it's like I don't. Sorry, new phone. Who dis? Yeah, go ahead and roll a charisma check, and we'll see what it tells you. Um, I mean, we could go persuasion, I guess. I mean, you're trying to persuade him, right? It's not a one. It's not a one. Nice. So that like the way that I picture that is like, so yeah, tree. I mean, like we know you. Really, we do. Wait, shit, no. Like you come up with something slightly more convincing. Like you tell it something, and it's like, okay, all right, and then you're like, come on, Maggie, you got this, and then say something else to it. And it's like, all right, and it's starting to believe you now. It's like, okay, so it gets that there's a problem, and it understands that there's a lich. It tells you to come to Grimwood and let's see, what else would it tell you? Um, yeah, that if you can come to Grimwood, it can give you some assistance, as you seem to be on the side of good, essentially. But that I guess that's pretty much the message you would get back. Honestly, would be something like any enemy of evil is a friend of Grimwood. Come to Grimwood, and we will offer you our assistance. All right. So Reggie told you you were somewheres in the Moon Sea, which let's see. Do I have our world map still somewheres? I hope. Let me just save this one real quick. Yeah, you guys are in possession of all of your things, which is good. You don't seem to be missing anything. World map. Has this got the world map on it? Nope. Nope. Yep, it does. Okay. See, now I gotta find the Moon Sea on here. Alright, so this is an area called the Moon Sea. So the Moonsea is to the north of the Dale Lands, which is to the north of Cormier and Sembia, where you guys were fairly recently. Um, Reggie can kind of tell you a little bit about it. That about 1,000 years ago from your time, this was a highly contested area with lots of small kingdoms and fiefdoms that were constantly at war with each other all around the area. Um, and that there are several great tales of adventurers going on these crazy quests throughout the Moonsea area. But he could tell you a few of the tales as you guys are sitting there or whatever, but nothing really pops out at you as being relevant to your situation. He just kind of is yakking on as Reggie is prone to do. So Grimwood lies just east of this actual map. So you guys are about half the continent away again. Um, yeah, as a matter of fact, from what Reggie tells you, um, you are you are actually in one of the highest magical times that Faerun ever experienced, with crazy kind of magical goings on. Like he can tell you a little bit about a thing called the Time of Troubles that would have occurred a few years prior to when he believes you are now. Um, Based on just the residual temporal readings that he got or whatever. Um, Basically, it was a time when magic failed, and for a few years after that, magic behaved very erratically, and slowly the magic came back through one thing or another. Something had happened that brought the magic back to the land of Faerun. And when it came back like in droves, where like people who had never had magic got magic, like human beings that were considered just normal kind of communities of humans began to experience like magic users coming in. And he can tell you that there is, prior to this, there was a civilization called the Netheril. You learned a little bit about them from some of your history books and stuff that you had gotten from the library, but he would tell you that the Netheril have essentially been kind of wiped out at this point, and the last of their floating cities has fallen. But the Netheril are responsible for the creation of the original mythals and for almost every spell that has come through down through human history and elf history, that the Netheril have sort of dispersed magic to humans. They were like the first human magic users. And he says that may still be small pockets of survivors, and that if anyone could help you get back to the future, it's most likely going to be the Netheril. He does warn you, though, that they focus on their magic in a way that, like if somebody was like one of these Netheril wizards and also like a dad, they would probably pay more attention to like their magic than they would their kid. Like that sort of magic users. They're very, very like kind of power hungry, yeah, and focused on their magic. It's like all consuming for them. So you, yeah, they're not a particularly friendly culture when it comes to strangers either. They tend to kind of keep to themselves. Yeah, just think of all the things you guys could have brought back to them. Let's see. So, if I remember correctly, I want to say so. Reggie tells you the Netheril had several large floating cities that would travel around kind of at the level of the clouds. And over several years and battles with this vicious race that lived in the Anorak Desert and other, like it lived in the underground tunnels in the Anorak Desert and other places, um, that their floating cities had finally succumbed to essentially this kind of derision of magic. So the cities themselves, it's sort of unknown exactly where they crashed, but basically there are four that people know about. One in the northwestern part, somewhere's near Icewind Dale, around the Silver Marches. That area, like way up north here. There is one in the far east in the Endless Wastes, which is kind of closer to Grimwood. Like Grimwood is just to the right of all that. Like it's where this part of the continent would kind of go out over here and go back down to the sea. Um, there is one just south of Chisenta, somewhere's around Timanther. And there is one far to the southwest that might actually be off this map as well. There it is, in the jungles of Chult. Somewhere's around the edge of Samark. Somewhere's in there, so it's not necessarily in the center of Chult, but it's like on this part of the continent there. Apparently that's called Wild the Wild Coast. Huh, who knew? That's a strange name to name something. But yeah, so pretty much there in the four corners of the realms as you know them. And you guys are sort of in the middle right here. Like, yeah. Like you're not like Reggie said the Moonsea area, it could be anywhere in this whole kind of section. You're just out on an island somewheres and you don't see land. You don't necessarily, but you do remember. You do remember the discussion that was had about how there was other liches that were kind of popping up across Faerun, and you remember that a couple of them in specific uh, seem to be noted as like very powerful liches, like the ones that you had heard of in the past, like these famous liches. And you know that some of them were around 1,000 years ago. In particular, there is a lich named Asarak that is. Reggie remind like he kind of goes over the history of this guy and explains to you that Asarak actually was, from what you can tell, a mentor to several other wizards that became liches. Like he would take these kind of like interns almost or apprentices, and he would slowly teach them the powers of lichology. I guess I don't know lichology. That sounds gross. um, so you think that that might be one spot you could start? Um, the history books also tell you that what is possibly the first lich ever, um, Vecna, has also been noted to be around during this time. So it's like at this point, Vecna has probably been around for 1,000 years and is still around. Like he always seems to kind of pop back up whenever a group of heroes will go and defeat him wherever he is. The ultimate MacGuffin. Yeah, I mean, you guys, if you took a northerly track, you could definitely track right by where kind of the last vague known whereabouts of this fallen city is. And Reggie tells you that. Well, the last time that you guys, when you went to Anarok, you noticed that it was kind of desolate, like rocky. Um, That's probably gonna be like a picnic compared to the wastes. Yeah. For Yeah, you guys are on an island right now, so you're just kind of sitting in the middle of this sea on like a like an island the size of like a double wide maybe. That's a good question. I don't think so, but I will check our scale here. Let's see. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Check something here. Yeah, absolutely. So you don't know the precise nature of it, but you do get the feeling that this axe has the capability to drain the life force from a creature it hits and add that life force to the wielder. So it's like a, we'll call it a vampiric axe, sort of. That might actually be a thing. You just basically because you're not using an identify spell, you won't know specifics, but you would be able to tell them like basically when you hit something, it's going to take some hit points away from that guy and give them to you. That's the gist you would get from it. Oh yeah, you know what? It absolutely would. That would do the X. Yeah, let me see if I can pull up vampiric. Hey. Let's see, vampiric weapon. Sure. I guess it does now. I mean, to be fair, he was like a mid boss, so yeah, he's got to have something badass on him. Let's see. So, when you hit a creature with this magic weapon, you deal an additional 1d8 necrotic damage. You gain temporary hit points equal to the necrotic damage you dealt. It is not +1, it just does the effect. It's just a vampiric weapon. But it is considered magical, though. Yeah, if you type in vampiric weapon, it should come up. It comes up on the D&D wiki. Weird. Let's see. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do right now. Vampiric weapon. It might just also not be unlocked with, like, what? Let's see. Do. Characters, compendium, spells, items. There we go. Let's see, other suggestions. Vampire weapon, vampiric weapons. Huh. I really would have figured that it would have been in here already. See if I can't find it for you guys. Yeah, that's pretty much that's just how multi-classing works for fifth edition. Like in older editions, if you wanted to play a multiple class character, you had to kind of declare it at the beginning, and then you had to spend your experience all over the place, and it was a big pain in the ass. Now they're like, yeah, take a level in it. Like you only get you, but the thing is that you start at level 1 when you do that. So like if you were to take exactly, yep, that's exactly how it works. So there's the stat block. Yeah, I figured that you guys have plenty of time that way to do level ups if I do it right at the end of the session too. Um, so yeah, I dumped that into chat, the vampiric weapon, so that if you want to just copy that, then you can do that and dump it into D&D Beyond or whatever as a separate item so that you know what it does. I have no clue how to automate that process if it like when you hit if it'll do that and like put shit into your character sheet or if you're gonna have to do that manually, but yeah, like I know on Roll20 when we put in stuff, it sort of adjusts it for us, but I'm not great with that crap. You'd think that 3 years at a 2 year community college in computer science would have done it for me, but nope. Yeah, right? Like that's not just me, it's complicated. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I could use Roll20 for that and then still use the character sheets, but I'm like at this point I'm kind of like I'm so invested in Tabletop Simulator because I have all the models and shit for it. Where I've downloaded them all already, and I'm like I kind of like the 3D thing. But yeah, use it. Like I could do the our own tokens thing too. It's tougher because you have to find a 3D version of stuff. It's doable. It just requires more time than I have. But yeah. So yeah, that's basically the situation. I think at the end of our game here for tonight of our session is that you guys are kind of left hanging on this island and try to come up with a plan. And you can get a long rest. Obviously, you can kind of make camp on the island. Like there's enough room for about that much, and there's no bad weather or anything like that. I won't do that to you. There might be when you wake up, but nice. Yeah, and I would even say like when you sleep, like your sleep is probably quite fitful and interrupted partially by dreams of this giant red dragon, and you know it to be Chazar of your nation's history, kind of, and that it kind of makes you wonder: would that dragon be around now too? Is he possibly someone you could visit as an ally? I mean, he was the king of Chesenta for a while, so. Yeah, and that would be exactly how you would feel about it too, as a resident of Chesenta. Like you would have grown up hearing tales of this dragon, and like of him being this powerful, but like he was always, he's a king, so like he does fucked up shit like kings do, like invading nations and shit. But he was also like always a people's king, kind of. But yeah, there was definitely times when like he'd get prisoners of war and like burn them all alive and shit like that. Like not he was not a nice guy necessarily. Yes, it was down here where the orange is. It's right there, roughly. So, I mean, and you don't have an exact location. This is just Reggie being like, yes, this is roughly where they crashed. It's like an area somewheres. Nice. Yeah, that's all right. We can fudge it a little bit so we kind of know where we're going with it. Um, yeah, so is there anything anybody wants to do for downtime on this island before you guys go to sleep? Awesome. For that, I will post some stuff into the chat probably of there's some stuff on the D&D wiki that I would find pertinent that Reggie would probably tell you, but it's so much stuff to actually read through right now to give you like the tidbits out of it that I'm gonna just do it throughout the week here. Like I'll find a day either tomorrow or the next day. Okay. Was that you that I had on the Discord earlier with the dog picture on it? Okay. Weird. Yeah, I don't know. Like Discord is still bizarre to me for running the server. Like I've only done it a few times. Like I think I used it when I did the one shot with the random people on the internet. Um, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll either post it to Facebook or the Discord, but I'll let you know either way. I'll send you like a message or something. Um, okay. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I could assume that even before you guys all go to sleep, too, that Reggie's probably telling you a few stories about the time that you're in. So you guys, I'll probably post some shit to, like I say, to Facebook in the next day or two. Um, and that'll probably be a couple of those Jorfton videos, which will just give you some background info on like Asarak and Vecna and who they were and why they were, kind of. And this would all be kind of like game sort of meta knowledge, but it's also sort of shit Reggie would know. So it's a little on the fuzzy side for me as to whether or not you guys are exactly supposed to know all of it. But whatever. I don't know. It's more fun when you guys kind of have a clue of what's going on. And again, my plot is so fucking convoluted that I wouldn't be surprised if none of you knew what was going on. So I know. I know exactly what's happening in the world. I don't know what's going to happen next week, but I know what happened this week. Yeah, me too. All right. Yeah. She's, she just puts the frying pan over her ear. She kind of pulls it over her head to go to sleep. Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you for playing, guys. So is everybody good for next week? All right, awesome. Hopefully we get our other two, and they're gonna be like, "What the fuck happened? Where are we? When are we? What? 1,000 years? When the fuck did that happen? I was in a backpack." Like, I suppose that means I should post this so that they can actually see it. Because last week I was like, oh, I'll post a video on the one from the week before, and then I realized that I went all last week without recording our whole fucking session. I was like, no. So There's some gaps. One of these days I'll be all professional and I will be like, hey, I'm gonna find somebody that wants to play D&D for like 8 hours on one day, and then I'm gonna break them all down into like hour-long episodes. I'll do it the right way. But all right, I'm logging off, guys. It was very cool. Thank you. Have a good one, guys. All right, note time. Note taking time. Notey note notes. Ow. So where'd my pencil go? Fucking pencil back. Drop a fucking pencil and lost it. What do you do with it? Dang it. Taking all the notes. Island. Whimsy. 1,000 years ago. Crash cities. Time travel. Alright, write down 4 fucking spots where I said it was. Down.